right, the open portion of practice has concluded for media, so we'll kind of gather all the information that we've seen and kind of condense it into one video here. And obviously, there's an interesting development going on with Brock Purdy. I already made a video on that specifically, but I'll address it at the end if you haven't seen it just yet. But let's get into the most recent updates. With the situation with Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, CMC didn't practice yesterday, and obviously George Kittle didn't play in the game against Seattle Seahawks. Both of them have returned to practice, so that is good news. Now with CMC, we knew it was a rest day, so nothing crazy there, but they are back and are both expected to play against the Packers. These are the two that we are watching out for more specifically regarding their availability. Trent Williams' ankle is out. Nick Bosa, dealing with the hip oblique, is out of practice as well. So, based on this kind of trend, I'm not surprised. I do believe that both of these guys will be able to play in this game. I don't believe that their injuries are significant enough to keep them out. However, I do imagine they will impact them, and it's more of a pain tolerance situation with these two. But we will have to see. Kevin Givens misses another practice. He's been out for weeks now, so I don't anticipate him to go. And Tatum Bethune-Knee, who Kyle Shanahan did say is expected to miss some time, so I don't expect him to be able to go either for this upcoming game against the Packers. And then, of course, like I had mentioned, if you were unaware, so again, it was all the reports were coming at me at once, and so to break it down, this is what's happening. Brock Purdy was seen throwing before practice. When practice started, he then exited into the weight room where he would typically be doing warm-ups and throwing and kind of going through his routine. And so what's interesting about that is yesterday Brock Purdy obviously didn't throw, and that was a big talking point of how he went through the warm-ups but without throwing. And then now we saw a glimpse of him throwing. That was according to David Lombardi. I believe others reported on that as well. I think Matt Barrows also kind of corroborated that. And then originally I saw Nick Wagner had mentioned that Brock had entered the weight room. So interesting, because it sounds like probably the plan was not to have him throw again during that portion of practice. So rather than him standing around and the media kind of staring at him and I don't know, they took him off the field, or he took himself off the field. And we don't know if he returned to practice after that. We don't really know. So what seemed to be like not that big of a deal, of more so just like, oh, Brock, sore shoulder on the throwing arm, not throwing. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, him not throwing really to me isn't that big of a deal. The fact that he's still out there kind of going through the motions, just staying mentally sharp, fine, no problems. Now it feels kind of weird now with from the reports that we've seen of him exiting. I don't know what to make of it. So we will hear from Brock Purdy in about 30 minutes from the time I've made this video. So maybe he can provide some insight into what he's doing at practice currently. But it is now obviously something to monitor, because if for whatever reason Brock Purdy can't go, does that mean Brandon Allen is your starting quarterback against the Packers? I know a lot of fans thought Josh Dobbs outperformed him in training camp, or excuse me, in preseason. When I was at training camp, it was a pretty close race between Allen and Dobbs, but to Dobbs's credit of his slow start, he was learning a new playbook, he was learning a new roster, and you could tell it was It was kind of a challenge for him at the first couple practices, but as the practices continued, Dobbs really started to settle in. And then we saw him have a really strong preseason and some of those performances that he had. So, but ultimately it was Brandon Allen who won the backup quarterback spot. But I'm curious. I'm curious, like if for whatever reason Brock Purdy can't go, would the 49ers go to Brandon Allen or would they turn to Dobbs? I feel like Dobbs would give you the best chance to win. However, I do know that they have a lot of trust and faith in Brandon Allen and his expertise of the offense and things like that. So that becomes another layer to this if Brock can't go. So we'll have, again, kind of weird. Again, I'm not there, so it's hard for me to really give you firsthand accounts. The best I can do is kind of gather up the information uh and stuff like that. And hey, we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.